It's such a great feeling knowing that Christmas is just a few days away. Good morning and welcome to the best morning show here in Ghana. My name is Josh Quinn. Let's start off with news and coming up in the next 30 minutes. Building huge graves for the dead, gradually becoming the toast of many in some parts of the country. We'll tell you more. And with Christmas in the air, we have a story of how one man, in his small way, helps in recycling plastic waste into Christmas tree. And Minister for Parliamentary Affairs Defence Emergency Medical Drone Deal approved by Parliament and in mission broken down culverts and bad roads impeding efforts at improving healthcare in the Central District of the Ashanti region. And on the foreign front, all I want for Christmas is democracy, says hungry protesters. And details of these and many more coming up in the next 30 minutes. Thanks for staying. My name is George Quinn. We're also live on DSTV channel 279. On to our very first story. Christmas is not only one of the most joyous occasions, but also one of the most wasteful periods of the year. This is because tons of Christmas decorations, which are not recycled, they end up in landfills, having a negative impact on the environment. And Portia Gabo tells the story of how one man, in his small way, is helping to recycle plastic waste at Christmas.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly. Tis the season to
It's Christmas once again. Most households would have been decorated with the green and red colors of the season, with a Christmas tree, lights and gifts wrapped up featuring prominently. But have you taken a second look at what your Christmas decor and gifts may be made up of? Majority of decorations used to liven up our homes, streets and offices, such as the Christmas tree, gift wrappers and ornaments are made up of plastics. If not recycled, most of the decor you find at Christmas will end up on landfills. One man, however, wants to help reduce the impact of plastics generated during Christmas by producing a Christmas tree made up of plastic bottles. Meet Makafui Ewuku. He is an environmental conservationist and founder of Macintosh Creatives, a startup using smart ways of putting discarded plastic waste to good use. Today, he's received an order to install a unique kind of Christmas tree for a restaurant at Medina. It takes about 7 hours and over 300 discarded plastic bottles to produce a Christmas tree.
Last year, November, whilst I was doing my yearly internship, I realized that they do a lot of board meetings at the office and then there's a lot of water bottles left. I look at the SDGs and the Sustainable Communities and Cities was the one that I was interested in. So I decided that I was going to be packing the water bottles down. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, but I decided I was going to pack it down anyway. So a few weeks to Christmas, I was like, well, Christmas is almost here. Can I try my hands at the Christmas tree with the bottles? It was a question I asked myself. So I drew up a design for the tree. I got a welder to weld a frame for me in the form of a tree.
It does not take much to make a Christmas tree made up with plastic bottles. Pipe and rods are welded into a frame of a Christmas tree. Bottles are perforated and ropes are passed through bottles around the tree frame. Decorations, lights and a star are then installed. And adding a pop of color to it, you have your Christmas tree.
Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are you? Well, we're not talking about branches here. We are talking about plastic bottles. The founder of Macintosh Creatives, Makafui Ewuku, is passionate about using plastic bottles to make a Christmas tree. Well, he wants to draw and create the awareness about plastic waste pollution.
People were also surprised to see these things. It didn't really occur to me that someone could do this from a waste.
So what happens to the bottles when Christmas is over?
We let it hang around for a while because of the plastic bottles factor. And the aim is to influence people's behavior. So after some time, we uninstall it, we pack up the lights and everything. And the next Christmas, we install it again. So nothing that we use for this tree goes back into the environment. We use them for other artwork. So one of our visions is to have a tree, a moving Christmas tree, do like a road show.
Everyone can help reduce, reuse and recycle plastic waste at Christmas, with Ghana naturally blessed with lots of trees and vegetation which look like Christmas trees. You too can also have an environmentally friendly Christmas by simply decorating them with lights. Whichever way you choose to decorate your home or office this Christmas, do have the environment in mind. Have an environmentally friendly Christmas. Poshigabo, TV3 News, Accra.
Such a great initiative there, and now building huge graves for the dead is becoming the toast of many in some parts of the country. Society leaders say this is to remember legacies and keep memories intact. Bright and now for reports, the marked graves afford the living the chance to communicate with the dead. Viewers are warned pictures could be disturbing.
They start like this, a simple dugout. But slowly, they develop into giant structures. They decorate roadsides, though sometimes they are left in the bushes unattended to. In what seems a contest to outdo one another, it is an honor for the dead. It is also to keep the memory of the dead. For many, honoring the departed is an obligation. Families must find resources to do this. It signifies respect for the dead, and also the belief that the dead lives even after departing this earth.
We believe in, life after death. So, gone are the days when a chief dies and, the chief doesn't go alone. The servants will have to go with the chief. Utensils and all those things that makes him, the regalias and all those things that makes him a chief, they have to, include it so that at least the chief takes it to the next world. Or, as a sign of telling us that there is life after death.
The Asantes believe in life after death, so are the Fantes and several other tribes across the country. In parts of Kumewu and Kwaman areas in the Ashanti region and Tano in the Bonaf region, these gigantic graves virtually seem to decorate the skies. This is not only limited to these areas. In fact, my trips around the northern region and parts of the Volta and Greater Accra region show these graves are common. Sometimes, remembering great personalities who led very historic lives and were role models are done through erecting these huge and towering graves.
This is the grave of the high-life music legend, Thomas Frimpong, who died in 2013, right here at Kumewu in the Secretary Kumewu district. Now, for those who are interested in finding out the final resting place, and also for tourists who want to know where this great man is lying, this is where it is located. The graves are to remind the people of the good works of these persons, and as said by the kings of this area, it is to help them communicate with the dead.
These great personalities can be studied, and so those who want to undertake such academic ventures and rewrite the life stories of these great personalities know exactly where to go to get primary information. For traditional and cultural reasons, these graves are kept.
Sometimes when you see even people sitting on the graves, their forefathers' grave, you see them sitting on it, and it's their own belief and it's their own faith that they think they communicate with the dead, and the dead is able to do something for them. So it's our tradition, and of course that has made it so. If you are a chief and you want to have peace, make sure you don't touch those areas. Make sure you don't touch those areas. See, sometimes you hear somebody going to sell, a graveyard, land to somebody, and it becomes it's an abomination to do that.
These imposing graves could be something more than just graves. They are attractive, carries a lot of history, contains remains of economic giants, acclaimed musicians, renowned medical professionals, historians, and great scientists. Lest I forgot, they could also be containing the remains of great and outstanding journalists, and maybe politicians, or those who taught all of these persons teachers. And so, in building them, everything is done to make sure these graves look outstanding when completed. This is how important these graves are to our societies. Unfortunately, when royals die, they don't get to sleep in these graves. Their graves are unmarked and in deep forest according to some traditions. Could these graves become Ghana's next tourist attractions? And how long will they remain the toast of tourists? Perhaps the next couple of Ghanaian graves could be ones that could compete with great architectural designs across the globe.
Very soon, this giant structure here will be completed, and it will add up to the number of very beautifully decorated graves in this part of the country. The belief of the people is that giving befitting burials to their dead is a great honor. And the fact is that when they want answers to their questions, when they want answers to their worries, they want answers to the concerns that they have, they can come here and talk to the dead. Brighton Anamfo, TV3, Kwamai.
Such an interesting revelation there. I'm told there are even plans to extend electricity to these graves. Amazing. And now, President Nana Akufo-Addo has sacked 3 High Court judges who were implicated in acts of bribery and corruption with immediate effect. And the judges, Ayisi Addo, Paul Ataderi, and Mustafa Habib Logo, were all on suspension following investigative journalist Anas Nasser's expose on the judiciary. A letter signed by Communications Director at the Presidency, Eugene Ahin, said the dismissal was occasioned by recommendations of a committee established by the Chief Justice, Justice Ofoye Kufu, to investigate a complaint lodged by Anas against the 3 judges. President Akufo-Addo has also directed that a copy of the committee's report be submitted to the Criminal Investigations Department, CID, of the Ghana Police Service for the requisite action to be taken. Another Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensa Bonsu, has defended the emergency medical drone deal approved by Parliament. And according to him, persons opposed to the arrangement were making the argument from a wrong premise. He gave the justification at a dialogue with the media organized by the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs here in Accra.
The media dialogue attracted media personnel and the academia. The forum was to help interrogate the performance of Ghana's 4th Republican Parliament since 1993 with a view to identifying the strengths and weaknesses of the institution for the consolidation of democracy.
Parliament sometimes doesn't open up. In fact, one of the issues is that committee deliberations are still closed. That does not promote, in our view, transparency of all Parliament's businesses.
Acting Chief Director of the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Evans Agridakon, said the ministry recognizes the role of the media in deepening inclusiveness in a participatory democracy. The Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensa Bonsu, defended the recently approved agreement between government and Zipline Ghana Limited for drones to be used to deliver emergency health products.
This whole business is predicated on what happened when the central medical stores got bent. We all know what happened. And the nation lost over $200 million. The emphasis now is to localize. Let's go down the districts. Let's not stock one central place and allow people to pilfer and steal, and then thereafter go and burn the whole edifice down so that we lose so much as a nation. I'm not only convinced, but I'm persuaded that this enterprise is worth pursuing.
It will be recalled that a minority in Parliament opposed the approval of the agreement, raising concerns of the country being ripped off, arguing there was no value for money. On the Right to Information Bill, Oseche Mensah Bonsu explained that a significant amount of work had already been done and is likely to be passed in this session of Parliament or the next one. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu also lauded the media for their watchdog role and their efforts at ensuring inclusiveness.
Report on petroleum revenue and petroleum expenditure. You must help this country so that we bring some discipline to how petroleum resources are being dispersed in this country. I mean, if you see annually what goes out, annual budget funding amount, yet we cannot point, and I'm not talking about MPP, even under NDC, we should be able to point concrete outcomes of the expenditure relative to revenue.
The media dialogue was on the theme interrogating Parliament's contribution to the consolidation of Ghana's democracy thus far, the perspective of the media.
If you're just tuning in, you're watching news here on Newday with me, George Quinn. And now the Accra Regional Police Command has intercepted 2,000 assorted inferior rice being rebagged for sale. 8 suspects were picked up during the operation conducted jointly with the Ghana Food and Drugs Authority and are currently assisting the police in further investigations.
The swoop on Tuesday, December 11, followed a tip-off about the rebagging of fake rice into standard bags. According to the police, a surveillance was conducted in Okaishi where the alleged rebagging was ongoing. The team then swooped on the warehouse where 40-year-old Al-Hassan Husseini and Sumaila Sudik, 50, were found busily rebagging the inferior rice.
They buy a low-cost or unknown brand in the market, then they go in search of known or high-quality brand rice. They get the bags and repackage them into these well-known branded bags and sell it at the high-cost price that's usually available in the market.
The 2 suspects reportedly admitted to the offense in their caution statement to the police, adding that they have been in the business for the past 5 years. Al-Hassan and Sumaila later led the police to arrest their main distributor together with 5 other employees. All 8 suspects are being questioned by the police.
So we all need to be very careful of the kind of things we buy from the markets. Consumers must be very careful whenever we are buying our bags of rice for the occasion.
Meanwhile, the Food and Drugs Authority has begun investigations into the source and status of the rice. The head of communications at the Food and Drugs Authority, James Latte, explained how the ordinary person can identify the fake or rebagged rice on the markets.
If you notice that where it's been stitched, you could see old holes apart from where the new stitches had come. That tells you that this rice has been opened and has been resealed. Secondly, if you notice that the thread that is used maybe at the mouth to seal it, the color is different from the thread that is at the base. That's another thing that should alert you that this could be a rebagged rice. Another thing too is that if you notice that the bag has been fatigued, that is being reused, that should alert you that it could be a rebagged rice. Again, sometimes you see that there are double date markings. For instance, you see 2 manufacturing dates on it and 2 expiry dates on it. So these are some of the things that will alert the general public.
The warehouse is currently locked and under police protection.
"900 validated small-scale miners would resume mining today, December 17, after the 22-month ban on small-scale mining was lifted. Deputy Minister of Information Pius Enam Hajide has, however, warned the fight against illegal mining is still in full force.
The fight against illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey, remains in full force, even as government rolls out a comprehensive policy framework for mining, which kicks off tomorrow, Monday, December 17, 2018. Person caught in illegal and irresponsible mining will be dealt with in accordance with law. Persons who want to mine are entreated to follow the new protocols and avoid a conflict with the law.
Pius Enam Hajide noted the comprehensive policy framework for mining will help sanitize, regularize, and reform the small-scale mining sector.
Allows the about 900 validated miners to resume work tomorrow, Monday, December 17, under a strict supervision and monitoring regime. This is to ensure that even for them, resort is not made to irresponsible or even illegal mining methods. Mining by these validated concessionaires is to conform to the boundaries and methods as approved.
According to the policy framework, some 3,000 Galamsey operators will be grouped under the community mining program.
A first set of former Galamsey operators, numbering about 3,000, will also now be grouped under the community mining program and given proper concessions and to also mine under similar regulations. All other former Galamseyers who desire to mine again will have to apply, be trained, and allocated a proper concession to mine in accordance with the policy framework.
And work on 2 districts of the Ashanti region, Setra Central and Setra Kumewu district. The exposition starts with uncovering the challenges with education and health and gender. And we begin from education front, where poor access to health facilities due to broken down culverts and bad roads is impeding efforts at improving healthcare in the Setra Central district of the Ashanti region. Brighter now for a report, a culvert that links the community to the rest of the district has broken down 6 months after completion.
This is the ordeal of drivers. Many dread plying the route. This is one of the many cars that ply the stretch. These are kind of specialized vehicles because they have learned to use this side of a road. Now, it has to wade through the water, and because it is quite heavier compared to the smaller taxi cabs, it is able to go. But even here, this is the situation. It just got locked up somewhere, and it is struggling very hard to go through the water that has collected here. This is part of the journey where drivers really struggle to go through. Sometimes they simply can't go and will have to wait until the passengers have to get down and pull the car out of the water. This is exactly what has happened here. A bad situation affecting the district terribly in this part of the country.
Several of them won't drive here due to this. The daring ones will make the attempt, but this is the result. For hours, all energies are directed at pulling the vehicle out.
So after several efforts to get the car out where it is stuck, the driver has given up and is now looking for another option to get the vehicle out. The engine is still on just to ensure that water does not get into the exhaust and into the engine. Now, we're trying to find out how we can use another car, bring it to the bank of the river and pull this vehicle out here. It's a terrible situation here, and this is what drivers go through here all the time, because this culvert that got broken after it was constructed has posed several problems for the people who live in this part of the district. There's a total cutoff of residents of Birim and beyond to the other side of the district.
But attempts after attempts are not successful. But once pulled out, a second attempt is made to cross.
This time, successful.
This whole community here, they don't have any assemblyman or MP here to solve their problem for us. No? It is not fair, as you can see, we are all suffering. You have to complete this bridge for us so that every problem will be solved.
Because of this, several drivers will simply drop off passengers and leave. Then these commuters would have to trek the rest of the journey.
I got stuck here once and a tractor had to pull me out. Please help us get the culvert built.
Residents of communities including Chiesu, Jeduakon, Atonso and Birim suffer this ordeal daily. The culvert was to link residents to Nsuta and beyond. Farmers produce in large quantities, but they end up here unable to get to Nsuta. Sometimes when drivers dare to go and pick foodstuff, high transport fares scare off traders. The river Beni gets flooded and cuts off people living across the river. Healthcare is the most affected.
Hospital
A pregnant woman had to be carried across the river in a tractor and a canoe before she could be taken to a health facility.
The district health service is frustrated in ensuring service delivery at hard-to-reach areas.
About 70% to 80% of all the facilities are concentrated around the capital, the district capital, which forms the nucleus of the district. And so health service delivery is basically concentrated here. And accessibility is a problem for us as health staff going there.
Personnel have, however, devised means of at least providing some help during these times.
We make sure that before the raining season, we resource these facilities with medicines, with non-drug consumables, with other logistics that they need, so that when we are not able to go there, they can actually fall on those resources that they have to be able to deliver.
The stretch from Nsuta to Birim now takes several hours to ply. The culvert is said to have been awarded to a contractor some 6 months ago. It caved in right after completion. Thus, the already terrible situation of commuters on the stretch is compounded. The assembly can no longer fund reconstruction, and so residents now suffer the drudgery when using that stretch. The assembly says it is pursuing the roads ministry to get this fixed.
We did it once in our own resources, but it collapsed again. That's about the third time we've lost what is done. So that one too, the federal roads engineer came, documentations on it has been done, it has been sent to the minister, and we are still following up. Surveying work and the quantities and all those things have been done by the federal roads. In fact, a copy has sent to the minister. I have also sent a copy to the minister, and we are talking about it to make sure our contractors will come on site. Because if it's not done and it starts raining again, that will be another. If I should show you videos of community complaining, and even I myself, but a lot of our products come from that section of our district. And if they are cut off during the rain season, what we're saying is that we should allow their crops to get rot.
The assembly is sure the economy of Secretariat Central will see a massive boost if this culvert and several other bridges are constructed. This, the assembly says, is beyond its capability and wants assistance from central government. Brighton Anamfo, TV3.
It's a firm belief that some sort of intervention or assistance is brought to residents of these districts. And now let's shift to the foreign front, where thousands of Hungarians thronged the streets of Budapest on Sunday in the 4th and largest protest in a week against what they say they see as the increasingly authoritarian rule of right-wing nationalist Viktor Orban, braving sub-zero temperatures, setting off flares and waving Hungarian and European Union flags. About 10,000 demonstrators walked from historic Hero Square toward Parliament and then State TV in a march dubbed Merry Xmas, Mr. Prime Minister. And that's how we end news here on Newday. You can get more news updates on our website. It's 3news.com. I'm George Quinnin. Newday continues right after this break. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your morning.
All right.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's a good morning. It's a
Yes.
Monday morning. It's 17th of December. We're getting closer to Christmas.
It is.
Yeah, we're getting closer
the week
to
before Christmas.
And we trust you're fine. Your weekend was cool. Mine was cool as well. It's Sean Amenya's birthday. Selom's son.
Sean.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah, Selinam Amenya is his birthday today. Happy birthday to you. But the weekend was fine, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite good. Great weekend. A lot of rest. A lot of chilling and ahead of Christmas. It was fantastic. I know you had a similar weekend. My student director is not too excited because I left her.
In fact, Saturday, Babina, we met at a location to look at some national documents.
Yes, and it was fantastic.
Yeah,
and we hope that yours was fantastic too. It's a week that certainly will lead all of us into Christmas, and the anticipation is quite high.
It is.
I'm expecting a lot of Christmas presents, hoping that from everyone who's been watching us in the course of the year. And as we wrap up the year, we certainly will be expecting that, hey, the good Lord will take us into another wonderful year, 2019. But this morning, it's a packed one, and we'll tell you more about that. But Johnny,
I know.
One thing we need to
we'll
talk
go through it. There's one thing we need to talk about. As Christmas approaches, a lot of people would like to block their streets and roads to have their own celebrations. And yesterday, for me, it was very bad. I don't know, and I've been asking the AMA on Twitter, and I was trying to get through to Gilbert Alote. I didn't get him. Gilbert Ankra, sorry. That's the PR.
Right.
I couldn't get through to him. But I want to know why the main Kaneshi Bubuashi road.
That's the main road.
Yes, it connects Kaneshi to Bubuashi, Dakuman, and
the
back.
main Bubuashi station.
The main one, the main Bubuashi station. That's the main road everybody knows. And it was blocked right in the heart for what somebody said Adwa, somebody says an outdooring ceremony. And I don't know why. I find it so...
You know, the sad thing is that I thought the road is blocked at a point where you can make a detour.
Right.
But you realize that what they did yesterday, you virtually could not... It would take you more than 10 minutes to be able to go off that road and get to the same road from another point.
Exactly.
And I was wondering,
you see, so
how
people were using the JV Garments 10. And yesterday
I did
a very terrible road.
Yes.
So then my first thing that came to mind was, okay, if we're told that the assemblyman, a certain Kwate, was the one who gave the order for the road to be blocked.
They can do that?
Exactly.
Can simply
I don't know, but I mean, that's what we were told because I inquired and some people told me that, and around that same place, the road was bad. There's a culvert on the gutter, which was also broken. So I was thinking to myself, didn't he see the bad road? Didn't he see? And on that side, we had access roads on the corners that could have been blocked, and then the main road could have been left for everybody to use. I don't know why
it's sad.
we allowed for the main road to be blocked.
I think that our local authorities must be more active. Look, this idea of blocking roads, is it the best we can do to ourselves?
It is not. You see, and for me, the Anglican Church has the Bubuashi Park, the Bishop Park.
Yes,
it's a big
huge
park.
one.
So you can always have, a celebration there if you want. Negotiate with the church. The Anglican Church also has a frontage that they hire out. You can always negotiate with them and have your ceremonies there. It doesn't stop anything. I believe that as a people and in other civilized societies, nobody blocks the street in the UK. Nobody blocks the street in the US. Nobody blocks the street even in Kigali. That has become the example now. People would now go to social centers, okay, a hall for social activity or an open space, a park,
in my village,
to go and use it.
They don't block roads.
The villages where people come from.
That's not
there's a congregating place for everybody to hold your funerals. Then sometimes you even pile up the funerals, and everybody has their funeral there. Why is it that in the 21st century, and I expect the Okanakwe sub-metro of the AMA to be able to respond to some of these things. It's appalling, it's shameful, and it is not the right thing to do.
And the sad thing, Johnny, is that I do not know whether the permission allows the people to block the road on Monday mornings. Monday morning when you're going to work, 6:30, 7 o'clock, the canopies are on the road, the chairs are there, main road, okay? And
it's because the excesses of the Sunday gets into Monday. People drink, they are tired, they have been dancing, they have been eating. They go and sleep, hoping that Monday morning they'll come and clear it.
Yes, but if the issue is that if you're given the permission to erect the canopies, make sure after Sunday you take them off. You see, and that is where I blame some of our state institutions. For instance, the EPA. On Sundays, where I live, there is music from 6 p.m. to about 12 midnight.
Yeah.
And I said, the people who are playing the music, don't they have kids who will go to school the next day?
Yeah.
Don't they think about them? Okay? And is the EPA in such a situation that it can't go out on Sundays knowing that these are days that people play music from 6 p.m. to 12 midnight?
But right, you know that most of our state institutions stop working on Friday at 4:30 p.m. They stopped working at Friday.
I don't know whether we should continue.
But last Friday, I was out with Asempa around Abelegbe somewhere, and we met one of the contractors who have been now asked to cut down the monies owed them by some 10 to 15%, or they lose it, and they say this is voluntary. So my thought is, okay, so if this is voluntary, if I decide not to abide by it, what happens to me?
Don't get your money.
I don't get my money.
Yeah, you don't.
Money that's owed them for over 2 years.
No, you don't get it.
And this particular contractor we spoke with, I'll not mention his name, but he actually gave us the documents as well. And he's telling us that he has 100 people who work with him. He showed us where his trucks are parked. And these 100 people are now literally jobless. One of them ran to him, even though he doesn't owe them any money, and said, look, my rent is run out. I need you to sort me out to be able to take care. If not, yay to me. And you are asking them money that's owed them. Mind you, they have gone to the contractors have gone to the banks to get loans. And over 2 years, they'll not be able to service the loans. So it means that they are accruing more debt.
Right.
And you are now asking them what you legitimately owe them to take off 10 to 14%. And the minister signed that letter. We'll show you that letter.
Well,
we'll have that conversation after the paper review
right.
segment.
That's a situation. It's really it's a terrible situation. I don't know whose decision it is, but I think that the contractor deserve what they have worked for.
Yeah.
I mean, to be told to cut down on
voluntarily. And you know the funny thing, Fidelity Bank, and this contractor said at the time they went for loans from Fidelity Bank, Fidelity Bank refused them the loans. Now this voluntary cutting is going to be received by Fidelity Bank.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see
anyway,
what happens.
we're ranting. We're ranting.
Let's rant this morning.
We're ranting about the new holidays, fresh holidays that have been brought up. We delete some, we said some. Yeah, it's a country, Ghana.
Yeah, right.
We're a very interesting lot. Let's hit the streets now.
Good morning and welcome to Daily Rant here on Newday. My name is Josh Quinn. We are live on DSTV, channel 279. And government has laid before Parliament a new bill that seeks to amend the Public Holidays Act and wants to make January 7 Constitution Day and August 4 Founders Day. We also scrap the, AU holiday and that of the Republic Day. And so what is the motive behind this? And what is the public really saying about this very development? This is Daily Rant. Let's keep talking.
I want to say it's one a bit in a way, but young citizens now at your mind. Maybe we have advantages and disadvantages. In Tisiano, you be explaining advantages. Okwambe so na ebe have advantages on us. Now Okwambe so na ebe have.
That's a holiday. My holiday or better one.
Holiday fine. They are good. Say my holiday, but holiday. What do people use it for? That is the question. is it helping the nation or it is bringing down the dignity or the development structure of the nation? I don't know what's here. So you consider holidays are fine. You have more productivity, which is obianye.
Master holidays are in 14, and baby sell productivity. I hear Ghana holidays are 14. Or productivity almost 360 days. Won't mean productive. Holidays can create when you're not complaining.
Oh, fine. But make I say kakra, but kakra no. And then a boy positively as such.
Aban no will lose sense of direction. Oh, near be bring home. You were holidays 14. You were weekends Saturday, Sunday, 18 every month. And I'm a boy 18 every month times 12 here. 198, 96 plus 14, 110 like Nanadu minister. You were 365.
I think 111 no.
Yes, you were 365 days. We 110 and 11 film 255 days.
So bang.
Interesting. And you're useless. What I said, Nanado fairy tale democracy no yeah. First, holidays we. And you know you be the other.
Debbie Kai said 14 no. When you want to scrap someone, you say we are 16 no.
There be MBA 16, 14 and a so the two account we.
That's in Jan the way it is.
There be you. Tell the Ghana for joining your paid. And yes, I man no George. Tell any public chrome out.
Me person rest. Holiday they be need you.
Well, they say there is more sleep after death. So what I say, in a day crown, how many hours in a day, Juma? We pretend to work, even within the working hours, we pretend to work. We be Juma 3 hours, 4 hours, not some coffee. Baby, a Ghana corner, na baby.
But look at the key days. Yeah, let's forget a holiday, but maybe it's a Constitution Day on the 7th of January, and Founders Day on the August 4. It's just look at it, the day, and not say it's going to be a holiday.
Now, don't cast young funny papa and count who say.
Only say news are saying he's resurrecting his ancestors.
Yes, it's be so ye be ordinary papa and Mandela and then one fight for South African way no. They be but they be he's the only one recognized. Yeah, Martin Luther King and Kwao. There are a lot of people that fought that battle, but they be only recognized. It's here recognizing Kuman Kwana Ede.
As I heard you here and say, I had your father.
And I didn't who here no.
You didn't say about a holiday no so now after the big can why now the big can for what? Oh, it's no one's I own here, the own here and was here. You might be on my cost own here or my emo. What you say? So, on no on Cassel or person or dinner papa account. That's all. Near Betty as here now say, oh, the big count for.
Papa was part of the big sis. Into at least if
that alone crampo. You papa didn't was castle. You discuss why you papa.
I said Kumasi is on the money.
No, what recognition again? The game now pay. So what I say, Charlie.
No, but look at this. So Nkrumah will have his day. September 21. Nkrumah Memorial Day is there. It's a Founders Day. They can also involve other people who fought for Ghana's independence.
What are we going to use it for? What are we going to use? What there can be beer and would be beer that
a country that has not honored its heroes is not worth dying for. Yeah, that's what I can say.
We didn't what the castle then important things. Sky you do what so now picture what so then
we see you every day in him so about ya adebia my what be set legacy be into near when you can say students learn about them. The big says how independence was achieved and everything into what will make it say every anymore.
The important thing Nanado should do is build a legacy for yourself. Nianka say, oh, the wabe, oh, papa, they also obey any day. Oh, ye BB, send your free education, ye to make us all free SHS. Why ye BB into person we are wounded, so ye BB not at least. See, you better recognize you, Crampo at the time I was here. Fine, but where they be up as over power, they be up as over Bush for they be up as Unkwani, the only person who Chrome her pay the president. I want to be the president.
Okay, but Moshe will be to say Martin Pebu or a private legal practitioner. Also, should say when there's a change in government, or best sense had this, should it be passed?
No, if there's a change, you see some of these things and a buffoon change of government, but some best and now it's a waste of time, waste of resources, waste of way. What I said to say easy logo. We buy what some best auntie, they be a quay metisa, buy a menimsa. What I say.
Oh, we say obey, Obifu for Bob, be changing. And you know, what is the use? What you say? And it's better say, on take your advice now.
I also believe, say, almost every country around the globe, I want a constitution. But how many of them celebrate a constitution day? And see, what they are not doing, but still they are developing, we shouldn't do and still retire.
We are developing countries, so men fire want to develop countries.
Yeah, but we are aiming at being as baby omo wono. So what I say, enti I was see a dinema eto a kwamo. Ah, fine. We buy a crowd. Make pledges say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. How many of them are what me achieve? And I obey near ma, a basic things are, and send and who here or man.
Madam, for I took coming now. I took coming from the will from Giddy. Don't know penny holidays, Munja, no more funny holidays.
I saw that own way. I hope I saw that one. We and you, but that's what I say. That's what I say. You will chroma or better sound, Flat House, you call Jubilee House. You will chroma electoral commission by better sound way. They say, Obias wrote me at the open. It is any of the quamin. To what I say, I am very bad. To what I say,
you know what? Let me say this. When Obikas when you Jumaya, I feel pain for the person. And then the opportunities that you can start up your own something. Messi Madam will be or on social media, only shop. But social media or force no he puts them on social media. People buy. Me see at the end of the day he can get 2,000. Now we try to buy more Juma.
George, the work on social media near the Boo Crass, the other beton crew run away with what I said, no, quite a phone, no, quite a social media, only a down for crowd.
No, I'm talking about someone who's in a cry. Let's
don't use a class generalization for everybody.
Into say, I banned your friend is a factory, be an answer with be a Jumabi war, a crown. I see, I only have any Juma support to youth, any idea. So, actually, youth broke Chroma, George, a baker crown, Liberia, any idea.
Those same youth can buy data. No, social media.
Say the devil finds work for the idle hand. Yet it any be sa de be obon sabe man emedwuma but anka bibi wo anka ya so onko abrochira mo friend wo bibi here. You see there's a national policy driven near the enti de bia wo bibi here anka ye share you can get betima pesika wo but ha obi anam ho so everybody for himself God for us so and I papa no mistakes are here na no an ye nso ye what I say enti enye de hu hie ni so enye de hu hie ni na do wo ye the only person wo busuanfo nyina obi a politics into wo de hu politics fiti class 1 into by this time no I me mama ye brodo met my brodo by this time the anka say near bebre wo ha you should have a foresight for it because time Ghana share time Ghana e course near uhu bi and also ya bofra be 7 years worker just obey the president there are certain things you should have by this time gotten abreast with it what I say
I'm just made the margin for found I don't know what will be the motive behind this I'm trying to understand
me patch say or percent or ye baby a be favor ni ancestors sene o makano sanete ne papa ye pese o pese ye baby a ye de be kai
founders. It's the founders day, so it means it adds other people to it.
It's a gradual thing. The founders, all of them will be removed. Now say, I be focused on ne papa ngwa. Bibi a share say on farm mature say I didn't need, but or share saying kakran. O de ye wa hayo ye be hu. Say I just say ye jituma ye nhwe.
Or say why ye be hu. Do you think that's what it is?
Oh yeah, but now so we there and this for bar and you do baby we cry now we.
But I'm very sure because we say a journalist. RTI, right information bill has not been passed. Now move fear and what the different bill are, but I'm just trying to. I'm just trying.
Now. Obi say about me affairs, no economists. They say the way theory, technological way say advisor. Any idea? Charlie, where the Ghana is going, Charlie, any man go west. Usiam penyimfo ne ade won wo bi de chele obi aso ayeshi ebe kakra George ebe din ebe kakra na mo na to show obi anwo because comedy obi
people is registered anyway
so what I say intermediate baby aban ne kon na do say we more drastic measures that na na obedi o aka wo wi ase what the thing we baby aye say na me de bia me hu free say na me kra eni age because it's giving hope to the hopeless.
People also complaining say double track system for instance
me de nka be 10 track no bi enya bi akwa nka ye school no enya na be ya obey but wunya foundation bi ye
nyama bi wo no as leaders no e wo so mo hwe na omo di nyama tutu yie no mo jai nyama bi a ehun hia nyama ehun hia de emfa so ombre je se da me bra ne kan aka kro bi a di tuo be hye no because obi adwuma na adwinboni hey omo sisi dan sisi baby ama dan ne sisi wo no mo ebi kura over 10 years ni ade dan no omo fa nya hwe esisi wo no mo ye develop sa nyama na ema youth no any juma, I think say it will be better.
And so the proposed public holidays are a no for the public, and for them, they think there are better things government can concentrate on and do to ensure, Ghana develops better. Let's know what you also think watching home. Just log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's TV3 Ghana, and on Twitter, it's a News TV3. Thanks for watching. Good morning. All right, thanks so much for your time once again. This is New Day, and time now for us to take a look at what's on the front pages of the newspapers I have this morning. The Finder says West Blue GCnet to go January 1. We're told that Unipass takes over port with fears of disruption. The story is on page 2. And then we're told that dropping fuel prices, inflation are signs of better days ahead. That's government. It comes with a photograph of a deputy information minister. Now, the 900 miners, small-scale mining entities, have resumed work today. They can start working. It's also captured by the Finder. The Ghanaian Daily Graphic says that Ghana's economy on sound track, better than 2 years ago. IMF boss, her photograph is here, and Rawlings advocates community vigilantes to fight filth and commends Zoomline. Preston Akufo-Addo, I'm sure you heard this story, dismisses 3 High Court judges. Daily Guide carries that story. Nana sacks 3 judges, refers case to CID, and the Rawlings story on filth is also carried by the Daily Guide. The Ghanaian Times talks about the Andani issue in Dagbon. We're told that Andani's reject roadmap to peace accuse government eminent chiefs of bias. That's the story. The High Court judges, 3 of them removed on grounds of corruption, carried by the Times, and 4 arrested in connection with the murder of the Pram Mankralo. My guest to do the talking this morning, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program, John Kuma, is here with me. John, good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing great. I'm doing well. Thanks for your time with us. And a former member of Parliament for the North Danny constituency, a member of the NDC, George Lowe, is also here. Good morning too. Hope you're doing great. And thanks for being with us a week ahead of Christmas. So let's start the conversation this morning. This should be good news. As we get to Christmas, a lot of people will be talking about what to do and what not to do. The Daily Graphic this morning says Ghana's economy on sound track, better than 2 years ago. The managing director of the IMF, Ms. Christine Lagarde, has observed that the Ghanaian economy is in a better place than it was 2 years ago. She said the IMF-supported program had been an anchor for orderly economic adjustment and a positive signal to the market. Now, she said that during the period, Ghanaian authorities had made important gains towards macroeconomic stability, including inflation, which had declined to a single digit, and now within the Bank of Ghana's tolerance band, buoyant growth, averaging about 5% between 2015 and 2018, and over 6% in 2017-2018, and a primary surplus in 2017 for the first time in 15 years. Now, in an email response to Daily Graphic questions ahead of her visit to Ghana, Ms. Lagarde said the program, which ends this December, served as an anchor for orderly economic management and a positive signal to the market. She underscored the need for Ghana to preserve those gains for the progress of the country and the citizens in particular. That's the story on page 3 of the Daily Graphic. John, let me start with you. This should serve as a confidence boost for trackers of the economy, government, and all stakeholders.
Exactly. Let me say good morning to viewers and to Honorable Law and yourself. Obviously, anybody who has been following the Ghanaian economy over the past 2 years will agree with the statement from the IMF that we are not just on track, but we are on sound track. And this has been as a result of the good economic policies that have been put in place. And I want to commend His Excellency the President, particularly the Vice President, who is the chairman of the economic management team. And he has always maintained that we have strong economic fundamentals in the country, contrary to, certain opinion, especially when we had a strong dollar in the early part of the year and it was affecting the strength of the cedi, and people were after him, to do something about the depreciation of the cedi. But he kept maintaining that all indicators point to the fact that our economy was on sound track. And of course, this is also in follow-up to what the what do they call it? Upgrading of Ghana's economy from B to B plus in the early part of the year. So clearly, all the indicators point to the fact that the economy of Ghana is on sound track. And of course, even those of us who are living in the economy, I mean, if you look at how inflation is consistently going down, the latest rate being from 9.5% to 9.3%. And then also, of course, with the good climate on the cost of oil, with the world good prices coming down, and we also experiencing the downward trend of oil prices. These are all indicators that better days ahead of this country, and I hope that we'll be able to hold on to these good gains and the strong fundamentals that we have to be able, of course. Another good indicator which we should all be happy about is the deficit rate, which was reduced from 9.6% in 2016 to now about 4.5%, and we are even hoping that by the end of the year we'll do below 4%. So all these are strong indicators that indeed the managers of the economy have firm grips of what to do, and I hope that we'll be able to hold on to these gains and improve upon them and make sure that, of course, we are also looking forward to exit the IMF program at the end of December, which is also another good news because it opens the opportunities for more job opportunities, especially in the public sector for individuals who want to work in that space. So I think this is good news for the country, and we should be happy about it, but we should stay focused,
right,
and be able to strengthen the gains that we have made.
And the key thing you said here is hoping that we'll be able to build on what we have. If you remember, some 2 years ago, the IMF, the Economic Intelligence Unit, and several other institutions said that Ghana's economy is likely to see this kind of stability and growth from this point, 2017, 2018. How do we, based on that, make sure that going into an election, we don't go into our overruns again? In fact, election periods are the main point of distraction. How do we ensure that?
Yes, I've heard various suggestions, including even legislation to ensure that we don't exceed, I think, 5% or 4.5%.
Which has been done, the fiscal stability.
Has it been passed?
Yeah, it has.
Oh, okay. If it's been passed, then that's the best assurance we can have.
But the point is that it doesn't come with any sanctions. That's the
well,
problem.
Once you break the rules, there obviously be consequences. So if you know that you are not supposed to exceed a certain expenditure, and you're exceeding it, that's going against the Public Financial Administrative Act. So obviously there will be consequences. So I think one of the best ways to assure ourselves that we are not going to break the bounds is to limit ourselves within the law, the requirement of the law, that don't exceed this percentage of deficit in terms of your expenditures. And I think if we have that law passed, then obviously whether it's election year or whichever year, the managers of the economy will be mindful not to break the laws, because there can never be law breaking without any form of sanctions. Obviously, there'll be consequences if they do that. And I strongly believe that having come this far and knowing the consequences on all of us when we overspend and we overrun our expenditures, I think we are going to stay within the limits to make sure that we don't overspend and you know, do things which will create unnecessary burden on ourselves, which we then have to come back to manage. So if the law is passed, it's the best way to deal with it. If not, we'll be counting on the discipline of the managers of the economy to remain on track and to help the economy grow gradually.
Grateful. George, so the economy is on sound track, better than 2 years ago. We have made gains. Can we sustain these gains?
Well, right, good morning. Good morning to our cherished viewers, and good morning to John. I haven't seen you now.
Yeah, John, the honorable.
And it's good to have you on the program. I'm excited this morning, extremely excited about this. This is like a stamp of approval and for the policies that the then government under John Dramani Mahama took. The hard decision to go to the IMF. Because what if you listen to what Madame Christine Lagarde said all these achievements was anchored on that decision to go to the IMF. And that the fundamentals that we are seeing today, which were predicted 2 years ago, 3 years ago, by all the rating agencies, that in 2017, in 2018 and beyond, we would see this kind of growth. But don't forget that they also predicted that beyond 2019, if we are not careful, we will begin to run into problems. So I am excited this morning, and I want to doff out my heart to Tekpe, who was finance minister when we took this decision, and of course President John Dramani Mahama, who agreed that we should go for policy credibility with the IMF. And from what the IMF boss is saying, she is of the firm view that that decision that we took has translated 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line into some positive gains at the macro level. And so if John is extolling what the economy, macroeconomy,
the
indicators that we have, he should first of all have thanked those who were brave enough to go on this tangent, because we couldn't have done these things without this. Our worry though is that we would have done better if the MPP government had stayed very close to the things that we were doing. Some of the indicators may have looked far, far, far better if they had just continued from where we went. There are times when there have been lapses in the system, the project has been stalled, monies and things that should have done other things, were stopped. So I believe that we could have even done better. We had the potential of doing better if we hadn't played politics with some of the things. Don't forget that all these things were also anchored on the huge investment we made in oil and gas. So all this now we have, like he says, we make more money from oil and gas than we used to do in 2016. So all those things have translated into this thing. But let's not get carried away by some of these stamp of approval. We've had it before. You remember that before every election in the past, sometimes a few months to the election, you had the IMF come to say, this government ran the best IMF program and things are going to, only for us to run or revert to some of the challenges that we used to have. So clearly, we are saying that yes, the indicators, if you look at them in terms of figures, they look good. Big question still remains, why haven't they translated into the micro? Because you see, sometimes when we come and talk about certain things, if you don't understand the bigger picture, you get excited. One, we have just rebased our economy. So all the figures that were high would look smaller because you've broadened the base. That is what it means. Two, you see, when we continue to do inflation targeting, we will run the risk of having the kind of challenges that we have. Because you see, one factor in the basket can pull inflation down considerably. We are in the bumper harvest season, for instance. So food inflation is expected to come down. Recently, we are talking about plantain. It has become so much so that some people from other countries are coming in to buy. But it's for a short period. How do we sustain those days? That is the critical question that we should be thinking about. So this has come as for me as a collective. It is not about some magic won by some government or some, but this has been consistent because of decisions and policies that have been taken maybe 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Where we are, where do we move to? That is the most important. I'm happy John acknowledges that. The important thing is we should stay focused on the achievements.
and where we think that we're falling short. Because it's not all a rosy story. There are places where there are challenges.
We'll come to talk about
we need to deal
the challenges IMF foresees.
We need to deal with those things. In as much as he is happy that we are going to exit the IMF system, like you rightly said, some of us are worried. Because when you do not have, it's beginning to look like when we normally do not have a schoolmaster with a stick watching over us, we go into overdrive. He's talking about more jobs in the public sector. Fine. But if the senior minister, Mr. Osafo Mafo, and Osafo Mafo and others, I've already said that the public sector is overbloated. Those are not my words; those are his words, and he said it in this term. So, in one vein, I recognize that the public sector is overbloated, and we need to even downsize. In another vein, we are happy that we are exiting IMF so that we employ many more people. What is the balance? We should be careful, and we shouldn't get carried away with the politics and applause. I think that if there are gains, we need to protect those gains and improve them. Where we falter, we should take a step back and collectively see how best we can run this economy better. Because look, from where I sit, as I was driving this morning, and I tuned into a radio station, I was reminded that it's 9 days to Christmas or something. I didn't believe it because I don't see it. I don't feel it. You know, I've been to a couple of supermarkets, and I asked one particular one, haven't you stocked for Christmas? The guy was laughing. So things are not, as they will say in Accra, we have challenges, and we must focus on trying to drive those challenges into a positive direction.
Let me put this to John. John, the IMF goes ahead to say that now there are a number of challenges still that have to be tackled, and it names a large debt stock, low revenue base as one. And in fact, also goes ahead to say the large non-performing loans. This government in 2019 will certainly be put under some kind of pressure to try and perhaps open up by way of infrastructure. We're near an election year. And the IMF is warning the debt and the revenue, they don't match.
Yes, I mean, clearly every economy has challenges. So this will not be peculiar to Ghana alone, but how we are going to manage it will make the difference for all of us. And we have been out of IMF program before. And due to certain incompetent management of the economy, the NDC had to take us back to the IMF. The assurance I want to give to Honorable and maybe all those who are not sure that when we exit the IMF, we are going to stay within the limits of our management of the economy is that we are going to see consistent, competent management of this economy even when we exit the IMF. And the point I made about the public sector is that at the moment, there's a ceiling under the IMF program that you cannot employ even where there are vacancies. There is no doubt that even though there's a claim that we have overbloated public service, there is still space. The need for certain sectors to be for people to occupy. And you see, this overbloated that we talk about is also in respect of productivity. And if we are able to expand the economy and create more opportunities, it should be possible for people to get in there. Especially, it's not everybody who wants to be in the public sector anyway. And this government in particular is focused on empowering the private sector. And we have shown that in a number of activities. So I'm not saying that we are going to pack people in the public sector, but I'm saying that by exiting the IMF, it gives you the opportunity, where necessary, to be able to employ more people into the public space. Now, the question of taxes and revenues to government, and then also our huge debt, and we know how the NDC government increased our debt burden. I mean, in 2009, we had a debt stock of about $8.1 million. By the time they exited in 8 years, that has shot to $122 million. That was too much. and about 73% of our GDP, which made it almost unmanageable. But as we speak today, in a matter of 2 years, the NPP has been able to reduce the debt stock in terms of percentage from that 73% to now an average of about 60%, which obviously allows more space for a lot of bold economic interventions to be made, like the infrastructure that we are talking about. So going forward in 2019, yes, government is bold to say we are going to tackle infrastructure because we have now been able to manage the debt burden on our hands. And it means that we now have space of resources freed to allow government to do those bold infrastructure development that we talk about. So yes, every economy has challenges. We are obviously going to have our own challenges, but with what has been done and the kind of foundation that has been laid in the past 2 years, I'm very confident that any massive infrastructure development that this government undertake will not overrun the kind of expenditures that we want to control. And I strongly believe that, of course, there will never be an economy without a challenge. But we are going to stay on course and on focus. And the competent managers of this economy, I believe, will steer this economy to a successful place.
Great. George, the debt stock and low inflows, the IMF is expressing worry about it.
Well, I think their worry is justified because even though my brother wants Ghanaians to believe that the NDC was the notorious debt accumulator, clearly the evidence before everybody shows that the NPP is borrowing at a faster rate than that. And if they keep at this pace, we believe that they may do triple what we did in government. And of course, the investments for us are there to see. We are here to see the evidence of the investment that they claim to have made. But again, you see, the NPP being very smart with figures will tell you that in terms of percentages, but in a rebased economy, I've told you, every figure
the figures
will drop.
Even
Clearly,
before the rebase.
No, wait. You see, before then, what were they talking about? They were talking about going to borrow to reprofile debt. Reprofiling debt doesn't necessarily mean that your debts have gone down. It only means that you have rearranged how you pay them. But they didn't even bring reprofiling. We did reprofiling also under our stewardship as NDC government. So you see, in putting out this information, let's be candid with Ghanaians. And the IMF is a very credible body. For them to worry about our debt stock, it means that they know that we borrowed more. Yes, the inflows is a very worrying area, right? I had the opportunity or the misfortune of arguing with a taxman during the week, and I keep telling them that, see, the problem we have in Ghana is that they are not even looking at those who are contributing to the economy and helping them grow. They are rather fixated on, so this man works at NEP, and quickly I can go there and do assessment and collect the money. But what about Ko here, who is also somewhere and is making probably triple what he's making? Nobody wants to worry about it. We clearly need to expand the tax net. And rather than keep piling on taxes, even give tax incentives to people. I was telling the taxman, I said, look, I have gone to put up a small business in a village where I'm employing like 11 people. What has the system done to support me so that I can even expand and employ more? What about somebody who is seated somewhere and he's put his money in investment and he's just collecting and chopping as an individual? We need to re-look at our whole tax system.
You're talking about
spreading the net, but look, yes, spreading the net and many more. We must be ingenious and innovative. That is the only way we can reap in more the revenue for this country. Because you see, the more you continue to pile and increase revenue, now we are talking about luxury cars. You see what is going to happen. So next time, I'm going to buy a Tico and I will drive. So you don't get your tax as the calculation that you have made. You understand? So now, tipper truck drivers may not want to buy tipper trucks because if you look at the way it is calculated, Now, some tracks which are supposed to be purely business fall in luxury category. I think that we must redefine and categorize some of these things. It's very important because if somebody goes to buy a Benz for $500,000 and I buy a 50,000 home use cargo truck to cut goods from, say, Pasa to Accra, who is helping the economy? Is it John who has his Benz and Sunday wants the pastor to see his success, so he will drive nicely and put on a cloth and go and drive back and park his car? Or me, who is paid a driver, who is cutting food, making sure that food prices go down? Let's begin to think outside the box, you know, in our zeal to get more money for this country. The more money we need, nobody will run away from that. We need money. And once we can raise our own funds, nobody is going to borrow money from elsewhere to do it. And then, of course, prudent use of money.
I'm grateful. Let's move on this morning to the finder. 900 small-scale mining entities resume work today. That's the big one for the miners. A total of 900 of them, whose mining licenses and concessions have been validated, can return to work today. Now, they will mine under strict regulations and conform to the guidelines outlined in the new mining policy framework outdoors. Now, the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation explained that the 2-year ban has given way to the new mining policy developed by the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, and this is to regularize that activity across the country. He said that only small-scale miners who have had their mining concessions validated would be allowed to mine in designated areas. A lot more on this story. But, John, are we ready to allow these persons back? Do we have enough on the ground to ensure that they don't run amok again?
Well, this issue of galamsey and illegal mining, let me say the best thing that ever happened to this country is the decision of the president to even put his presidency on the line to ensure that we save our water bodies. And to be honest, I've gone around a little bit and seen how most of these river bodies have improved. In fact, I've even seen videos on Facebook of individuals who have brought the previous state of these rivers and their current states since the presidency took on the fight against galamsey. And I must say that indeed as a country we have all done well for the past 2 years to fight and push back the menace against our environment and our river bodies. But of course, they say opportunity costs in life. Whilst you are trying to fight one problem, you are likely to create another problem. And of course, the specific issue of our youth who were also engaged in this kind of activity as a means of survival. So the good news is that government has finally had an arrangement which is acceptable to the protection of the environment and our river bodies, and also allowing our people who are interested in mining to also mine legally and of course responsibly, because we cannot continue to have the situation where we destroy our water bodies and our environment with impunity. So I want to hope that the arrangements that have been put in place, the training that have been done, and the sacrifices we all have to go through, over the past 2 years, where people have been stopped from their work, and then also efforts have been made to restore our rivers, will not be in vain because all of a sudden individuals were allowed to go back to do legal mining. Let me put on record, illegal mining is still prohibited and illegal. It is only those small-scale miners who have been licensed and given the right to mine within a certain framework who are now permitted to mine. And we must all support government in this effort to ensure that we don't desecrate our water bodies and leave it in that bad state that we found it.
And that is where the argument is. Some have argued that what government did was unnecessary because those who are going back, the small-scale miners, are not those who were polluting our rivers, and that they engaged in a more regularized kind of mining, and that it is rather the legal miners
who engage in polluting our waters.
Yes, but the difference right now is that before, it was difficult to identify who was the legal miner and the small-scale miner. Now,
was it?
Yes.
They didn't have licenses?
Well,
They
before it, no. Now, there is a more regulatory regime for even those with small-scale mining licenses. And there's also an addition of empowerment to these licensed small-scale miners to also guide their concessions against illegal miners. And they are also supposed to help authorities to arrest, and they know those who go in there to do illegal mining. So they have now become part of the system to protect. Of course, in order to allow them to continue to do their work, they must also safeguard the environment by helping the government to identify those illegal miners. So, and then I think there's another element of a task force, an environment task force coming up to ensure that apart from those who are licensed to operate, if an illegal operation is going on, with the support of the task force, though these small-scale miners are supposed to help government to arrest those people. So obviously, I think there's a more regulatory regime in place now to ensure that we don't suffer what we suffered before. So let's see. I believe that with this lift, some jobs will be restored, some hope will be restored, but we are not going to take our eyes off our rivers. And any attempt to pollute the rivers back will call for another ban again, and I don't think we should get there.
Before George comes in, should government compensate these small-scale miners?
For what?
Well, they had some, if not all, had their license to operate, and government stopped them.
No,
for
but every license have conditions. And so if your license required you to work within a certain condition that you failed to achieve, to do, that license can be revoked at any time. The fact that you are licensed to work is not an automatic right to just do anything. So I don't think if it's you and I who deserve any compensation for the damages done to our river bodies. But oh yes, it is the Ghanaian people who suffered under this pollution of water who must be compensated, not those who went to pollute the rivers. So even now that we have asked them to go back, I think it behoves on them to become more responsible, to protect the river bodies, and to make sure that they do responsible mining. We cannot tolerate people who complain that they lost their jobs when they knew what they were doing, destroying our river bodies. So clearly, if we are not taking actions against those who destroy our river bodies, they should not begin to talk about what they lost. We lost more as a people. We are not taking any cost from them for whatever we lost, but at least going forward, let us all begin to become more responsible in our actions so that we can protect our jobs and also protect our river bodies and the environment.
George.
Well, right, interesting times, and very, very, very interesting times. You see, policy, legislation, and all those things that we do are good. But why must we continue to do things the same way and expect to get different results? Right. The president came in and said he was banning small-scale mining or galamsey because they were polluting river bodies and all the other challenges that we had. Today, have we made a kind of progress?
When you say that water bodies are beginning to show signs of...
Please, right. Are we, maybe he is reading from different places or listening to different things. Look, not too long ago, Ken Ashigbe, who was leading the media, what did he say about it? They are not satisfied with the result that we have achieved. Recently in the media, he's actually said, people are even calling, remember, they have been calling for the arrest of Sir John and some other people for supporting mining in some restricted areas. Day in, day out, we arrest Chinese, we arrest other people actively doing this small scale. It means that even the problem we found on the ground, we have not finished solving. If you listen to the interministerial committee carefully, even they still have challenges in dealing with the issue. Then now, because there is a shout of restore us, restore us, restore us, restore us, or we will not vote for you, or we'll do this, we'll do that, we bring this program. Now, what is the content of the program? And what is going to be so new, so much so that the people who are going there, we are confident that we will be able to monitor them to stay within the policy framework that we are giving them. And I ask a bigger question. So EPA and all the agencies that we have, the Minerals Commission and all the agencies that we have in place, people take salaries every month to supervise and monitor these same operations. What are we doing with those things? Is it enough to just say that, well, some new legislation are done, also you go there, and then we hope that they will help us to do the monitoring? I think that is neither here nor there. Because knowing what happened in the past, this is how it was started. This same way, you remember PNDC, the PNDC law that enabled Ghanaians to do small-scale mining. We had given them a policy framework. We had given them a law.
Don't mine in rivers.
Don't mine in rivers. Don't do this. Don't do that. Before we woke up one morning, we realized that people come from outside with money. The Ghanaian people front for them. Even in the contemplation, you know that in the contemplation of the mining act, excavators, for instance, were not things that were expected to be used in the small-scale mining. Small-scale mining, you were supposed to go and do tillings and collect those ones that you can get from there and things like that. It has become a major mining operation. And we are going back there. For me, I'm not comfortable. And I think that the government should look at these things carefully.
Do you think government is bound to pressure?
Yes. And as much as I am happy that genuine people who work within the law would be allowed to go back and earn a living. For me, I thought it was also an opportunity for us to address a lot more of the issues that we have. Right. This small-scale mining, it is not just rivers they pollute. They destroy farms. How well have we dealt with those things? Socially, the social repercussions. Fatherless children, number of fatherless children you go and if you do some research in the mining areas. Now we have a lot more Ghana Chinese hybrid than we've ever had in our system in those mining areas. We have so many social ills going on there. Prostitution is rife in those areas because there's money to be spent. Even criminal activity has gone up in those areas. Not only are rivers polluted, roads are being destroyed by the use of heavy machinery. So many of those things. I believe that the government would have taken time to do a holistic appraisal and deal with all these things even before we reach where we are. But we are in a hurry. So giddy. We say, go back, we'll monitor. How effective is the monitoring going to be? When we had closed them down, completely banned them, we couldn't monitor them properly. Now that we are allowing them to go back.
We're told of a lot that have been done. So, for instance, the machines are tagged. There are drones that are supposed to monitor them. And do
you know that just 2 days or 3 days ago they arrested another set of Chinese? So what were the drones doing? No, you see, we don't like telling ourselves the hard truth. You see, we need to begin to do things properly. And sometimes when we are borrowing from other people, let's borrow properly. For me, I think that government should sit back, restructure its institutions, because all these things, approaches that we are using, they are knee-jerk approaches.
It won't solve the problem.
It won't solve the problem.
You're suggesting that rivers might go back to the dark days if we want to call them.
You give me 2 years. We may come back here and discuss the same thing. Because already, are you aware that the rivers that was initially at a point when they were burning excavators and things that we said, they started regaining their color and things like that. Go back to them and see if they haven't gone back. And we have so many stories that have gone around that we haven't looked at. Even the task force itself. Many of them have been accused, many a time they've been accused of protecting people to mine. All these things must be thoroughly investigated and given a clean bill of health before we begin to say that we are lifting a ban and 900 people are moving in there. So these 900, how sure are we that we have them under attack?
John, George is not too sure about this. This whole
thing. I can allow to the level of suspicion, which of course, because we are all not sure, looking at the extent of the damage that was done to the environment. But where I disagree with him is where he creates the impression that by allowing them to go back, that's the end of the fight. No. I'm happy when he said we even arrested some Chinese and some other Ghanaians some few days ago. The arrest will continue. Anybody who undertakes or engages in illegal mining activity will be arrested. The fact that 900 have been allowed, or have been properly licensed to operate, does not mean that the fight against illegal mining is over. The monitoring will continue, and we are going to make sure that anybody who mines in our waters, who even mine contrary to the license that has been given to him, his license will be revoked. And anybody who goes ahead to do illegal mining will still be arrested because the task force is still in place. So we are not allowing people to go back because that's the end of the fight. No. If anything, we are sure to see an improvement in a more responsible mining approach in this country. And that's what I can say.
Johnny, good morning once again.
Good morning, most people.
Let's take some comments.
Yes, we will, of course. Here we go. Good morning. And Gifty, please hold on with the messages so we can get to check them up here. Great. And it says, good morning. We need to first of all applaud the Vice President and the entire economic team for building our economy, which guarantees our IMF free. We also need to adhere to the fact that His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo and his government are delivering and, of course, commit themselves to moving Ghana beyond aid. We're grateful. Tipagya Yakubu Abubakari Afasco in Tamale. I want the MPP man to understand that our pockets broadcast to us each and every day the state of the economy, so there's no need listening to IMF. Yusuf Mohammed Bedu in Tain. BA. My name is Daoud in Pig Farm. I totally disagree with the IMF. Ghanaians are really suffering now. We can't even withdraw our own savings that we have in the banks, and they are telling us that the economy has improved. How did it improve when we, the common Ghanaians, can't feel it in our pockets and our homes? Please let them come to the grassroots and see how people are really suffering, and what we hear from them is the economy has been improved. I wish you happy Christmas, TV3, and God bless you with all long life and the whole media at large. Okay, Abdul Rauf, thank you very much. Tabale Jagos from Minsom says, I think the president has taken the right and bold step by sacking these 3 judges found in the Anas video. This is how we want the country to be like. We must wipe away corrupt officials from duty because corruption issues are getting out of hands in this country. Thank you very much, you say. Good morning, TV3. MPP people are always lying to us. That is because of IMF. That's why they can't recruit people. But IMF didn't affect areas like health and security, and yet still they couldn't employ just a single bondedness the whole of 2018. You people think allowances are more important than posting, always giving bondedness as excuses and fake promises. Ajiman, Menu, deceit, government. It's a Ben from Cape Coast. Okay. My name is Enum Boso from Ashaman. The IMF said Ghana's economy is on track. That is not the MPP who are saying it, and let's wait patiently for Ghanaians themselves to judge in 2020 period. Good morning, TV3. Please ask Honorable George Lowe, when the MPP government was having few challenges in the early days of the administration, like CD depreciation and fuel price hikes, then the NDC accused the Akufo-Addo government of saying they have the men, so they should fix the economy. Now that all those indicators are looking good, he's giving credit to NDC. Very funny. Desmond from North Dai. That's your constituency, isn't it? Sophie Amusa and Kombongo, the reality is that Nanado's led MPP government are competent managers of the economy, while NDC, led by John Mahama, has been the most incompetent government in the history of Ghana. So Ghanaians cannot afford to retrogress. Desmond Atamberi comes out and says, good morning, Mr. Host. We thank the President for lifting the ban on mining and coming out with the reforms at the sector. This will go a long way to protect the environment and also flush out foreigners who have taken over our forest. Forest. My regards to Atangaru, Deputy CEO of Free Zones Board. Aziz Nolaiwa says the fake rebagged rice interception by the police service is in the right and perfect direction to go as a developing nation. Now, FDA has to up their game by putting up pragmatic measures and strategies to fish out criminals. However, the central government should also stop the importation of foreign rice and promote local industries to produce local rice. High importation depreciates our currency, as is online. Well, good morning. Ghanaians are of higher spirit in seeing Nanado's government fight illegalities like galamsey, corruption, armed robbery in the country. Even though free SHS, NAPCO, reduction of taxes, shaping the almost retired economy are on course, the competence of the government have more room for improvement. I will give them 60%. Vote big yes for Bono East region ahead of the referendum. Audu Idrisu Yeji Seche Salisu will be the final one from power in the Volta region. It says President Akufo-Addo's government managed illegal mining splendidly and deserves commendation. Good measures have been put in place for proper mining, and all citizens must cooperate with the measures in the interest of Ghana. Vote yes for T region on the 27th of December 2018 for development. Everybody seems to be pushing for their region. Right, take it over.
All right, John, thanks once again. We'll have a lot more. Let's wrap up on this conversation. The 3 judges dismissed by President Akufo-Addo. Their counsel is suggesting that since their case at the ECOWAS court was to be heard on January 23, 2019, he's disappointed about the president's move. John, briefly on that before we go.
Well, I don't know if there was any injunction on the president not to take decisions.
No, there was nothing.
Okay,
except
so
he says the case is at the ECOWAS High Court.
Yes, obviously the courts can still take their decisions and the president will still have to do his work. I totally support the decision of the president. Of course, this is based on a well-followed process, and all these judges have been heard aftermath of the allegations against them. And I mean, pursuant to the provisions of the constitutions, a panel was put in place. I think they were called, and all processes have been duly followed. And all that the president has done is to maybe enforce the recommendations of the committee or the panel that listened to them. So maybe we just have to move on as a country and learn our lessons. Obviously, it's a bit painful if you are a family member of these judges, or if you are close to them, you may tend to feel the pain. But the broader fight against corruption is paramount to us as a country, and we want to applaud the president for enforcing the laws and keeping the sanctity of our judiciary, which, of course, should live beyond a certain level. And I don't have anything against the decision of the president. I think it's in the right direction.
George, their case that since they have put the case at the African High Human Rights Court, the president should have held on before this decision.
Well, first of all, let me just also add to what my brother has said. That, well, we have a president of the Republic of Ghana who has a constitutional duty to go through a certain process. So if they are not faulting the procedure, if they were faulting the procedure, then I will have an issue. But if they haven't, from what their lawyer said, he hadn't faulted the decision of the president, well, that decision will stay. 2, like John rightly said, there is no injunction, staying any action, awaiting the outcome of the court, the forum where they are.
The ECOWAS court.
Yes. What it is, though, is that, I mean, as lawyers, the president himself being a lawyer, sometimes in good faith, we always want to abide the court decision before we take further actions. So I'm sure that is why the lawyer is saying that they would have expected that, His Excellency, who understands these things well, or who is supposed to understand these things fairly well, would have a bit of time. But in the absence of an injunction, the president can take a decision. The good news, though, is that, like John said, if they went to that court and the court gave an order against their dismissal, of course, they will, yes, it can always inure to their benefit.
But however, these courts, rulings only have persuasive effects.
So at the
And
close,
they
at
are
the,
not
really
even
binding.
binding on us as a country.
But you see,
Article 128.
but
So-
you see, the point is this: that when you go to court, and if the court say, because I don't believe that they are fighting for their jobs per se.
No.
They are fighting for their dignity and
Their
integrity
dignity.
as people. So, like I said, I wish them luck at that forum. But once they themselves have not attacked the president, not gone through the procedure, then it doesn't lie in my mouth
to say that.
Yeah, to say that.
I'm grateful, gentlemen, for your Monday morning. And George Lowe is a former MP for North Dan, a member of the NDC, and John Kuma, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program. I'm grateful once again for your time.
Thank you.
And wish you a Merry Christmas ahead. And same to you two out there. Keep your comments coming. We're here.
Last Friday, there was near commotion at the Eliza Hotel. This was because a letter dated the 12th of December had been signed by the Minister for Roads, Kwesi Amoakwata. This letter was an indication that the government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Finance, had set up a financial strategy to facilitate the payment of a good portion of claims being made by road contractors in this country for various road projects done over the period. Now, Fidelity Bank had expressed interest in this particular, strategy, and the Ministry of Finance had raised no objection. Following which, Fidelity Bank was supposed to obtain the IPCs and then go on to pay these claims, which was have been validated by the Auditor General. Fidelity Bank was supposed to do this through an auction, and they were supposed to arrange a meeting following the receipt of a full list from the government of Ghana as to contractors owed. So they summoned the meeting at the Eliza Hotel. The detail in there was that between 10 and 14% of these fees owed over the last 2 years were supposed to be discounted by that amount. And all of this is supposed to be voluntary. What does it mean? Daniel Agro is my guest. He is the chairman of the Association of Road Contractors. Chief, good morning and thank you very much for your time. Did I get a fact right about the happenings as it is?
Yes, you got it right. And first, good morning to your viewers.
Right.
It's been a very daunting time for road contractors. And a prelude to this was a press statement we issued on 3rd December, which put pressure on the government to come out with this program.
Right.
And we thought, in the first place, they could have met us to discuss the modalities for such a financing agreement.
Okay.
But then they did not. They threw us to Fidelity Bank without our knowledge.
Okay.
We received the notice just 24 hours before the meeting. And you could see I'm sure if you were there, you could see the chaos in the room.
Right. I actually met a contractor on Friday around Ablengbe, and he told me that he had just left the meeting together with others who thought that, well, it was not making any meaning. But tell us, what happened at the Eliza Hotel on Friday?
Yes. Fidelity Bank introduced themselves to us that they have sort of agreed with the government to sort of auction 1.2 billion of our standing debts. These are debts owed to us between 2014 and 2016 per se.
Okay.
And most of these certificates have already been discounted to other banks because before you can proceed on any project, you have to borrow money in order to do it because government is no longer paying contractors the 15% mobilization advance.
Okay.
So the banks has become our sort of savior in that direction.
Right.
Now, after waiting for all these years, losing value of the certificate because of currency depreciation.
Exactly.
And then, out of the blue, we are supposed to discount these certificates that has so low value now at between 13.5 to 14.5%.
What went into that thinking? Do you know? Were you told?
No, we're not told. But we found it that it was a way to sort of dilute the pressure we're putting on them to pay us.
So those who don't voluntarily buy into this discount of what is owed you, what does it mean? Do you lose your money?
No, you don't lose the money. That means that you continue to wait for government until they are ready to pay you. But the snag is that because this, Fidelity Bank is taking these certificates, they will be the first people to consider if there is any money allocated to the industry from the 1.6 billion or so budgetary allocation.
But I thought the finance minister had mentioned some time ago that monies had been paid to road contractors.
He said they've released 1 billion this year and they were going to release another billion.
Absolutely.
But then we don't know where that money has gone.
You don't know?
No, we've been trying to find out since then.
It was extensively covered by the media.
Yes, the media covered it. So we've been trying to find out where that money has gone. But as far as we know, there were so many outstandings from 2016.
Okay.
And now, even with road fund alone, the debt there is almost 2 billion. Before you consider GOG, the government of Ghana, which is Minister of Finance, which I believe is about 1.9 billion. So if you say you are releasing 1 billion, they did go to pay the GOG. And they most of the people who were at the Alisa Hotel were from the GOG financing this.
Okay.
So why were they there if you have released 1 billion?
Okay, that's interesting. If they had really been paid, they wouldn't have come to the meeting for a discount, to come and push for a discount.
Exactly.
What pressure does this put on contractors? I want to understand.
You see, the whole thing is that we owe the banks.
Okay.
And the banks have been calculating their interest monthly.
Okay.
Okay. And government is offering this window.
Okay.
And they open it to the individuals. And you, the contractor, you are now to determine, do you go in or not?
Okay.
If you go in, that means you are losing another 15 or 14.5 or 13% of the value of the certificate again.
Okay.
Apart from all the interest that's accumulated on that certificate.
Right.
And the loss of value of the certificate. Although there is an argument that you can take interest from the time of the certificate to the date the bank pays you.
Okay.
But how much is that? It amounts to nothing.
Do you feel your hands are being twisted?
Yes, it's a complete twisting of our hands. It's just turning us around to show that, oh, they are doing something to pay us. You see, we have been constrained in all these matters. We've been sort of having meetings with them, and if there is anything like that, they should have told us that, oh, we are doing this, arranging this.
But you were not told?
We were not told. Just 24 hours, come for a meeting.
When was your last meeting with the Ministry of Finance, the government of Ghana?
As for Ministry of Finance, they will not meet us.
Okay.
But the roads minister has been meeting us regularly, telling us, making promises that there will be payment for us.
Are you shocked at this financial strategy?
We're very shocked because after the announcement, you see, when immediately the government announces that money has been released to contractors, what happens? All your creditors, banks, everybody starts rushing to you. They want to know what is happening. They want their payment.
Right.
So since Fureta announced that this thing, a lot of people have been chased out of their homes.
Wow.
Because they felt the government has paid you, and you are saying they have not paid you. So they felt you are lying.
These contractors, of which you are chairman of, have some lost their lives as a result of this?
Yes.
Their jobs, people who depend on them. Tell me about that.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The intriguing aspect of the whole thing is that government agencies like Ghana Revenue Authority and SNID are locking our offices.
They are?
Yes. And even some of our people are being sent to court. Even my association still wrote us to us that they were taking us to court because we've not paid our staff contributions for 7 months. So you could see the sort of thing that is happening. A lady called me last night from Takoradi. That DRA has locked its offices for the past 7 months. You see, DRA wants to attain its
target.
Right. So they know that contractors in the past we have money. So we're the first target they started with. So several letters to all contractors over the place. And forcing them to go and pay some advance. Where do you get advance from when the government is owing you for 3-4 months, 3 years?
Are the banks advancing loans to contractors these days?
No.
Why?
They don't want to see
Why
our faces.
not?
We owe them. If we government is owing contractors about 2 billion, if we as well just imagine the amount we owe the banks. Why are some banks closing down? We closed by the Bank of Ghana. If you look at the balance sheet of those banks, you go in, even Unibank, it came out over 500 million of what they were owing was owed by contractors. So you could as well see the other banks. Even savings and loan banks are collapsing because of contractors.
This financial strategy, the letter which Mr. Mokwata wrote, said that it was supposed to leverage the balance sheets of some of these banks. It's only Fidelity Bank that has expressed interest in it, which means that the other banks, whether or not they like it, they will not get a chance in this. Is that correct?
No, Fidelity Bank made us aware that they are doing this with other banks.
Other banks.
Because they don't have the whole 1.2 billion to give us.
Okay.
You know, at least banks have been asked to increase their...
Exactly, 400.
So at least banks have a lot of money now to give out. But then, at whose cost?
Okay.
That's the question we are asking. At whose cost?
Who pays for it?
If government comes out, they will take the charges. There's no problem. Then we know that we are comfortable with it. Then we can go and discount it, whatever the discount rate. The government pays. Okay. But if we are to suffer that agony again, it has to be too much for us.
So let me understand, Mr. Grow. You put in a bid.
Yes.
You won the bid. You got a contract. You have delivered the contract per the specifications.
Exactly.
Over time. And such amount, X amount of money is owed you. Yes. Now you are being asked to reduce what is owed you, so that the money can be paid for you.
That's exactly the analogy. That's exactly the analogy. And this after waiting for several... The bank itself stated that some of the certificates they had dates back to 2014. And we are now ending 2018. So for 4 years, you are holding that certificate, expecting government to pay you, only to be asked that, oh, come and discount it further for 14.5% of the money you are holding.
So you
are losing that money without any... Because there's no way you can build that back into any certificate for you to recover. So it's a complete loss.
You went out of the meeting at Aliza Hotel. What's the next step? Are you going to court? Are you going back to the table?
The bank promised that whatever our concerns were, they were presenting them to the government during the weekend.
Okay.
And by Monday, they will let us know the result.
What were the key points you told the bank?
The key point is that we want to know who bears the cost.
Okay.
And two, after we have assigned these certificates to the bank, there's our interest in the certificate seizes immediately.
Okay.
Because one, if you pay, you sort of assign the decision to the bank, and government doesn't pay them early, they come back to you to ask for some interest, or it's a one-time payment of discount, because discounting in this country has not been on a good thing.
Right.
So you go and discount the certificate, the bank puts it on the account and charges you interest every month. We want to be very clear of what actually
these modalities.
Exactly.
In the meantime, what happens to those who are in your employment? Those whose slate says you have not paid their contribution. What happens to them?
Most of our sites have been closed down for several, I won't say several months, probably 2-3 years. Most of contractors, very few contractors are working.
Why is
very
that so?
few.
Why?
Because of this owing. You see, because the way we ourselves are not well organized.
Okay.
We should have belonged to strong associations in this country.
Okay.
So that the association sort of spearheads everything. Otherwise, these things wouldn't be happening. They are selective in who, like they give you a new project, they pay you part of the money, go and start. You go and start, you get locked up.
I see. So they advance some cash to you. Once you start,
a new project,
it stops.
It stops because you issue a certificate, you are not able to pay, it comes to a stop.
At what point did things deteriorate into this? Because it didn't used to be so.
Oh, this thing started way back 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
And the previous government went for a loan to pay us. But unfortunately, they introduced some new projects which they were calling enhanced projects.
Okay.
Which were very huge projects. That took away all the money and then left those who should have been paid still unpaid. At the end of 2016. So that the fallback is what we are suffering right now. Because one, those outstandings were there. You added new enhanced projects, which bills are so high. That's why from less than 700 million. We now have about 2 billion.
Okay.
As an outstanding debt. With the road fund alone,
okay.
we have at least four areas where we get money from.
Okay.
From the government,
right?
From the foreign projects, from CMB, and from the road fund.
So
and all these are in
I'm
areas.
curious, if the Auditor General, and this will be my final question to you, if the Auditor General had okayed these amounts to be paid, I'm wondering where the discount comes in at this point. The Auditor General vetted the documents.
You are right.
And says, go ahead and pay them.
Ask me. They said these certificates, there were problems with them. This after going through the system itself.
Okay.
There's every agency has an internal audit.
Right.
Apart from all those audits, they were audited again by the Auditor General and then released. And they have been with my certificate have been there since December 2016.
Wow.
So you could see the suffering people are going through.
Is it affecting your private life?
Oh, yes.
Family?
Oh, yes. People are dying every day. A contractor in Florida, was it 2 weeks ago, collapsed when a bank put a bell on his building and a building plot at a very good commercial area. He collapsed.
They were auctioning the price.
Yes,
because
he owed them and he couldn't pay, and there was a final demand, and they took him to court, and then the court ordered that the house be sold to defray the amount. He collapsed. Apart from this year alone, we lost about 9 contractors.
Wow.
Just due to stress-related diseases. If banks are collapsing, banks like Unibank are collapsing due to debt, what about we small-scale contractors? Ask yourself.
Mr. Agro, I only want to wish you well and hope that your monies will be paid for the stress to go off.
That's our hope.
That's your camera right there. I'm sure the finance minister is watching. You may want to speak with him. That's your camera.
Yes. We have been constrained to issue a statement on 3rd December about the stress which we are going through. It's rather unfortunate that although government has not paid we contractors, the agencies of government are worrying us every day. Our offices are being locked. Our members are being sent to court unnecessarily because of SNIT and tax outstanding. Although in every situation, 5% withholding tax is paid before government releases monies to us. And yet, GRA will not understand this and is chasing our members. I'm calling on all contractors to come together. This is a time for us to come together and fight what is happening to us. If you are divided, they will always say optional, it's optional. And then there's nobody to speak for us. How can you gather 200 people in a room that you are negotiating with them? We saw the chaos in Alisa. Let's now come together and fight for our right. It's our right. We work for it. And government's right on our back to success. Always they talk about the good roads they have constructed. But who did the construction? It's we, the contractors. Let's come up now and do something to show that we matter in this country.
Mr. Agro, thank you very much.
Thanks so
I wish
much.
you all the best.
Thank you.
And I can't be happy at this point. I can't be happy. I don't want to be a contractor. After the break, I'll see you. There's more here in Newday. welcome back and thank you very much. We're wrapping up the show. It's Monday, 17th of December, and Kwame Sachs is here. He's got a free jazz show coming up. Jazz show free in this economy. Kwame, how are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good.
Lovely, lovely, man. So where are we meeting on Saturday, the 22nd?
At the Royal Nick Hotel.
Royal Nick Hotel.
Inside Tamakonde 6.
Okay, and what's the occasion?
It's the Gold Coast Jazz Vibes.
Gold Coast Jazz.
Vibes.
Okay. Gold Coast Jazz Vibes. Royal Nick Hotel.
Yeah.
Saturday. What time?
4 p.m.
4 p.m. Prompt. On the mark.
Yeah.
Like that. And you say it's free.
It's free.
Who's going to perform? Just you?
Myself and then KJ of MTN Hitmaker.
Okay.
And then Kali Sax.
Okay.
And then Sax Boss.
I see. What are we going to? Christmas jazz and a lot of the interesting stuff you do as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your camera. You want to call out to your people to come join you so we can wrap up with a song.
So this to show to all of you that it's for free.
It's for free.
So I'm inviting everyone to be there.
Okay.
Just come support.
Right.
With your presence.
Absolutely. And you know that on the 31st of December as well, the big fat launch is happening at the National Theatre. The Honorable Kujianka's book, The Trial of J.J. Rollins, echoes of the 31st December. And you've got to be there. It's only 100 Ghana cedis plus the musical drama. The tickets are selling hot and fast. AUCC TV3 Airport Shell. You can't miss it. Take us home with something beautiful. What are you going to play for us now? We'll see you tomorrow. Be good.
Thank you.